It's true, I do believe the Great Awakening is happening right now on the planet, but I think it's completely taken out of context sometimes, and there's some of these big claims about things that may happen, things that may not happen, and in this video I'm going to show you the 3 biggest myths I believe are related to that of the Great Awakening, the 3 biggest misconceptions, and I show you exactly what those are from my perspective. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron. I help people expand their consciousness and raise their vibration by making spirituality practical and relatable. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about the Great Awakening. If you haven't heard me talk about it already, there'll be a playlist in the top of the description box on the Great Awakening. I've been making some of those videos and people have been really resonating with it. They've been sharing it a lot. And the first thing I want you to know about the Great Awakening, this isn't the myth, but just in general, is that this really is a time of waking up on the planet. Even people, as they're in their houses, maybe not able to leave, people are beginning to question reality. I have friends that I never thought would be open to some of this information that are liking my posts about it, that are asking questions about it. And this is something that has been talked about since I went through my awakening in 2012. I've been learning about it. There's the first thing I learned about was the government, and behind that, how things are kind of orchestrated and how a lot of it is kept from the public, and how it's kind of like there's this mainstream media that projects all of these things that we think are true, but there's actually much more going on behind it. There's an agenda behind it, and the agenda is that if people are kept in fear and anger in a little box, they're much more likely to look for safety from that of the government, plus they're in a lower vibrational state, which is much easier to control. Now, there's some parts of this though, since I've been sharing some of the videos and I've been talking about it, how now is a time of so many people waking up to what's going on behind the scenes, beginning to ask questions, and understanding that there's a great awakening happening. This has been prophesized for thousands of years, and it's finally happening. And some of the things that may happen, just to give a basis before I get into the myths, is we could have that of a complete turnaround in our government, where we start to realize that a lot of things going on were to put us in fear, and maybe certain events in the past have been orchestrated in a way. Understand as well with conspiracy theories, if you feel that resistance, understand that, first off, I don't believe everything that I hear about that. However, I do know that the CIA made that term back in the 1980s to keep people deterred from questioning their government, from questioning reality in general as well. And what's happening is, as the vibration continues to raise on the planet, people are becoming more and more aware. And not only that, as people raise their vibration on the planet, there's those people that want to keep things in fear, that want to keep people in a lower vibrational state. They're pulling out every last card they can right now, trying to come out with forced this, forced that, trying to do anything they can to remain control of something that they will not have control of, because too many people are waking up. Some people are coming in fear, like, oh, what if this happens? What if they make this mandatory? You probably can tell kind of what I'm talking about here. There's certain things that if you say, it won't really, the YouTube channel or the YouTube video won't really be able to reach as many people because of the way the way this works. However, now is a time of realizing that we as the people have the power, and we're waking up to that. Now, the first myth and the first thing that I want to share with you is that the first myth about this whole entire process is that we hear a lot about this back government, we hear a lot about the Illuminati and stuff like that. Even some of these elite people, whether that be the guy that owned Microsoft, you know what I'm talking about, the certain celebrities that maybe we're realizing are a part of something behind the scenes that has to do with orchestration, believing that they have a lot of power. Sometimes what we do is we think and we are focused on them, and we may even have a lot of anger, resentment once we find out some of the things that they may do. Some people may have watched the documentary All Out of the Shadows and realized things. And one of the things I recommend, by the way, is if you watch that, realize that maybe sage yourself afterwards or watch it in small doses. That's what I'll recommend. When I watched it, even my buddy Victor watched it, other people watched it. It's darker stuff. And it's hard to find on YouTube right now anyways because of once again, it's got 10 million views, that Out of the Shadows thing, but that's just kind of how it works. The first thing though, the first myth about this is that these darker elite people that are doing things, or the Illuminati, one of the myths is that they're the ones controlling things. They're the ones doing all this stuff. Now, just out of a point of compassion, let me share a perspective that maybe will help us lose the charge there. Realize any charge we have, we're feeding that reality. We're giving away our power in a way. Now, understand that when these people that may have a lot of attention, maybe certain celebrities, for example, understand that they're put in certain positions because they're harnessing attention, which means they're harnessing energy. Now realize, though, that behind them, there are people and they're, in a way, puppets. So it kind of changes the perspective. One of the myths is that they're controlling everything. They're not. They're just doing exactly what they're told. People get mad at Bill Gates, and understandable, like with the things that he's trying to roll out and stuff like that. If you go to his newest Instagram, any of his posts on Instagram, you'll see hundreds of thousands of comments from people, and it's because people realize and can feel the energy of what's going on. However, realize that he's just playing out a part. He's doing what he's told. And a lot of these other people, they're doing what they're told. That's not really, there's a faction behind that, and they're just kind of the minions running things, or doing what they're told. So the thing that I also want to share is that when it comes to compassion, the thing to remember is that I try to put myself in other people's shoes a lot. I've had some things growing up that have happened to me that it's like I put myself in other people's positions, and it kind of makes it easier to forgive and to loosen the charge. And one of the things I realize is, imagine some of these people go to some type of thing, some type of secret thing, and then they get their foot caught in it a little bit. They step their foot in it, into some dark stuff, whether it be some type of dark magic, some things that are just horrible if we knew about it. If you watch that documentary Out of the Shadows, you see what I mean. But sage yourself afterwards, maybe watch it in small doses, and only watch it if you really feel called. But imagine you step your foot in a little bit, and then they get kind of sucked in, because once they're in, they're in. There's no way out. If they try to get out, they end up like some of the other people that just end up, something happens to them, right? So the thing that I want to share is, it's not always what we think. It's what it appears on the surface, and what we're learning is that yes, they may be involved in dark things, but the thing that helps us have a little bit more compassion is realizing that they're just kind of doing what they're told. That's not where the real power is anyways. But the real power is within us and our attention. And as we become aware of it, it's important not to put our energy into that as much. Now, the second myth about the Great Awakening, and I see this a lot, whether that's people that study different movements and stuff like that, it's assuming that everything is going to happen very, very fast. And also assuming that on the mainstream media, these things are going to be released. Now, maybe eventually it will. But my feeling with the whole Great Awakening is that it may take a little bit of time. People talk about that of, for example, ET disclosure. Yes, the government's known about that for a long time. A lot of whistleblowers have come forth with that. And I know someone in my own life who's told me about this before, who was around it for 30 years or 40 years. And said, yep, the government knows for sure it exists. And I find it interesting. Now, one of the things with that is we may assume, and in a way buy in sometimes to some of the things we hear. I know a while ago I heard somebody say, oh, there's going to be, from all of my intel, there's going to be 3 days of darkness. And that means 3 days of no internet, no phone. And this is going to happen within, a couple of weeks or something like that. And in the moment, I got really, this is going to happen. It's going to happen so fast. I felt that, but then I realized that it didn't really resonate with me. And in a way, I gave away my power for a day. I even posted on Instagram for a day, like, this person says this. I wonder if it's true. And then I went in and I realized, hey, this doesn't resonate with me. I even had it to a point to where some people were telling me, hey Aaron, I was launching a course. They're like, don't launch the course because people might not have internet for a couple of days. And I said, you know what? I'm not buying into that. I'm going to launch. I'm going to do what I'm originally going to do because that doesn't resonate with me. The reason I share that is because some of the things, even some of the people that might be behind some of these movements trying to bring awareness to them, you have to have your own discernment. The myth is that things are going to happen this fast. Now, it doesn't mean that things aren't happening behind the scenes. I was hearing about how some kids are being rescued from some underground facilities where they do very dark magic and dark things like that, what you call it, like keeping the collective consciousness low. And I was hearing about that, and then I go to my buddy Drew's house, in San Diego, and I meet somebody there that does EF, what is it called? It's called ETF, or I forget, whatever that's called, where it bounces the electromagnetic EMFs, bounces out the electromagnetic frequencies. And what she said is that she has a friend that is a nurse in like Idaho who is involved with rehabilitating over 1,200 kids that were rescued from an underground facility, and that they're rehabilitating these kids, and that's where they came from, is an underground facility. Now when I'm hearing it and watching things about it, and it's like, whoa, I don't know if is this really true, it seems kind of out there, but then I meet somebody that is confirming that and saying, oh yeah, this is what's happening right now. I had a friend that called me, this is what they said. And then they also said something interesting. They said that some of the earthquakes happening, some of them might be earthquakes, but one of the guys on my team, he lives in Idaho, and he said there was an earthquake and some things fell in his house a couple weeks ago. And what they say it is that they're blowing up underground. They're getting to these kids that are in underground facilities and stuff like that and saving them. Very positive thing. However, that's confirmation, but we want things to happen very, very quickly. However, understand there may be more of a process to it, but don't get discouraged if things don't happen as fast as you could possibly imagine. So the third myth about the Great Awakening, I think it's important to know, is that it's not good versus bad. It's not as duality and polarizing as we think. Even the people that we may think to be the good guys behind the scenes, and even people we may think to be the bad guys, it may be a little bit different than what we think. There may be other agendas as well. So it's not like, oh, this group versus this group. There may be other intentions within each group. But understand that this is all a part of a process. There's many different things going on, some of which we're not even aware of. And we may not be aware of for a while, but the key is to do our own work. One of the other myths is that we're waiting for things to happen on the outside. Realize that the reality that you shift to, we're all shifting through it, and in a way there's pockets of different timelines that exist. So maybe there's a timelines where this thing that's happened in the world was way worse and affected way more people. Maybe there's a timeline where there's already these forced things coming through. They all exist now, but we're on a more optimal timeline now. The thing to remember is that we put our energy where we want it to go, and we can release the fear. And if we feed into the fear, that's the reality that we're beginning to go into. So it's not good versus bad because there's these different factions within each. But the biggest myth is us looking to the outside. This is about going within and raising our own vibration. Maybe changing up our diet. Getting rid of eating heavy foods that hold our vibration down. Letting go of things that no longer serve us. Watching television shows, watching the media. And realize that on the mainstream media, this information may not come out for a while because the mainstream media is owned by one of so many corporations. Eventually, and we may, part of the Great Awakening, to see this kind of flip around, this whole media thing. But realize it might be a minute or two, but we are good because it's about raising our own vibration. Even with some of the stuff that's coming out with this whole G stuff like that, realize it's about raising our own vibration. The more we raise our own vibration, the less it affects us. So the power's within us, and we can raise our vibration. As we raise our vibration, we're on a more optimal timeline. That's why we do things like group meditation, where we had over 1 million people meditating all around the world. I went live for that, and many of my other YouTuber friends went live for that, and it was incredible. The Schumann resonance is off the chart. Schumann resonance is the resonance of the planet. Now, if you haven't seen it already, I have another video on the 3 hidden agendas going on right now behind the scenes that I believe that maybe you're not aware of. And it kind of talks more about these vague things I'm talking about. And I'll go ahead and link it below, 3 hidden agendas. Go ahead and check it out. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I've got more cool videos coming out for you. Hope you enjoyed. Like this video if you liked it. I know you wanna. And other than that, I will see you on the next video. Peace, much love, and namaste.